I double checked with Galveston County as well as League City. Your warrants are good, and we're serving them.
You're watching the controversial arrest of Randall and Rachel Hall by 2 League City cops.
I need you to turn around and place your hands behind your back.
For what?
I've got a warrant out for your arrest.
This is a regular Bonnie and Clyde moment.
Okay. Is there a warrant for her arrest?
There is a warrant for her arrest.
Apparently a pair so dangerous that moments earlier they had been captured, then put in handcuffs in front of their own children.
How do y'all look in the mirror at night? This is why no one trusts y'all anymore.
It was all caught on police body and car camera video, but League City Police, they didn't want you to see this.
This is the most unbelievable thing I've ever experienced.
You may have read stories about overworked prosecutors in Galveston County, but the chief felony prosecutor, Kayla Allen, she was ready to personally prosecute Rachel Hall this week. This must be a big crime story.
The part I hate the most is that they posted my mugshot on their website, which then all the kids at school were passing around, and my daughter was just bawling, crying for weeks about this.
She doesn't sound like a criminal. She sounds like, well, a mom.
Later on, my mom called me and said that our son had called her and said, "Are my parents drug dealers? Why did they get taken to jail?" They didn't understand the situation. They were scared to death.
When you hear the facts, you may think we've uncovered a case of blue boredom in the suburbs.
I think they're bored. There's, I guess, not enough crime where we live.
It began with a fender bender in the parking lot of a South Shore Harbor Fitness Center, private property. Let's call it the scene of the crime.
Never saw me, I guess, slammed into the side of my car.
I didn't even see you back there.
That was Carlos Melcher. He was pulling out of his parking spot and crash. We've got exclusive pictures. We're good at this.
I stopped right there. I got out. I was shaken up. I mean, it was a hard hit.
Rachel says Carlos boasted of his cop connections after the wreck and promised it was his fault and he'd get it fixed.
No need to call the police. My family's all HPD. He said, clearly. It's exactly what he said.
Rachel got his insurance but didn't give him hers. Then she leaves the scene, takes her car to the shop, then finds out the insurance card that Carlos gave her was no good. Carlos, after she leaves the scene, he calls the cops, then his lawyer.
They've got me set up to go to the emergency room tonight, but I can't do it, dude. I'm in so much pain, man.
Carlos would later give us his medical diagnosis from that parking lot mayhem before he stopped talking to us.
I mean, I have 4 broke ribs. I got 4 broke ribs on one side. I got 1 broke rib on the other side.
On Facebook the day after the wreck, Carlos checks in at the hospital. His next stop wasn't a pharmacy, it was a bar. The Voodoo Hut in Kemah. The insurance company, it quickly figured out it was Carlos's fault after all.
I didn't even see you back there.
But that didn't stop the League City Police from springing into action anyway.
Were you involved in an accident a little bit ago? Or earlier today?
Yes.
Police don't give traffic tickets for private property car wrecks, but in Texas, it is still against the law to hit and run, even if you were the one totally hit, and regardless of what the other driver claims they're gonna do. I get it, but the resources used to prosecute Rachel Hall smack of retaliation, not justice.
Can you kind of explain what happened with that?
Yes.
The evening of the wreck, a League City cop shows up at Rachel Hall's house, wanting to see her car. She was quick to confirm the car was in the shop after a wreck she did not cause.
And he said, no, we don't need to call the police. Everyone in my family is HPD. I know I'm at fault.
Rachel says she feared this officer might really be just a friend of the guy who hit her. She had been stalked before, and it didn't help when the officer started telling her she had committed a crime.
Listen, I have done nothing wrong. You don't get to just talk to me like I'm a criminal. I have not done anything.
The more troubling video involves the false comments of an unknown League City police detective about the conduct of Rachel Hall's husband that first night. That same detective had already investigated surveillance cameras at South Shore Harbor just to see if any of them captured the crime scene, or in this case, the fender bender.
Nice and explained it multiple times, but once she got her husband involved, he was not going to hear any of it. He was the one that started, well, you need to get off the property, blah, 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 blah.
Not true. Developer Randall Hall told the officer he would call his lawyer and reach out to the chief the next day with the information they wanted. We've seen the body camera video of the Hall's arrest later that month from warrants issued after that very first interaction. That League City officer, by the way, was the nephew of the Galveston County Sheriff. Randall Hall was charged with interfering his wife with failure to stop and give information at an accident. The detective claimed Hall had tried to hide his wife's location during the arrest.
He tells the officers that she's not there. They arrest him.
That's not true either. Hall didn't hide his wife's location at all.
So everyone's here?
Jake's here.
Jake's here.
Yeah.
Where's Rachel?
She's sleeping. Yeah.
She's sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she basically went and got their 2 kids and shepherded them into the room so they could see the performance that mom and dad were about to put on, and it went downhill from there.
That police detective appeared especially bothered that Hall sought media attention after the arrests.
They called. They called and started basically stirring the water up.
And that apparently didn't sit well with League City Police. The day after the arrests, the Halls went to see the police chief, Gary Ratliff, and they got a lesson about justice for League City residents.
My wife was arrested and we were held for 11 hours in your jail. Never had a warrant, never read our rights.
They had warrants on both of them.
Didn't show them to us, wouldn't give them to us.
They didn't have to show them.
Whatever. I was never read our rights. Unless you've got a different constitution that I'm not aware of.
You read your rights, Randy.
Legally, he's right. No, he didn't have to do it. But it's wrong, right? I mean, I think you should expect law enforcement to show you a warrant if they're arresting you, to read you your rights if you get arrested.
Accusations of a wrongful arrest now at the center of a lawsuit against a local police department.
In the days after the arrests, Randy Hall filed a $25 million civil rights lawsuit against League City. So we thought the public would have a right to see all the body camera video, right? But League City, they said no.
This behavior isn't anything new in League City or Galveston County.
As a result of the lawsuit, the League City Police are now hiding every single report of a sustained internal investigation of any of its police officers. That's wrong too. And all this crack police work is now for naught. On the Friday before Rachel Hall's trial, the DA suddenly dropped the charges, citing an uncooperative witness. We could have told them that weeks ago. The prosecution of Rachel Hall may be over, but that won't stop the civil rights lawsuit.
This is stopping now. Any settlements we get will be used to defend people that can't defend themselves. Period.